So you start with the problem at hand and you branch off and you come up with the things that kind of bring you together to make up what this is and can help you to find the solution. So what makes blackjack blackjack?
It's rules.
It has the rules. Yep. There's rules to the game. Yep.
Cards,
Cards. Yep.
players,
Those players. Yep. Anything else?
money. I don't know if money's part of it or not, but
Blackjack's weird to play without money, so I would say it probably would consider it part of it because it is a betting game. So it feels weird to play blackjack without money, but you can, I guess. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
You could actually
points.
Points or betting.
also use,
Here we go. Betting.
That's good.
Yeah, because you could use just
Yeah.
poker chips for betting without even like using money, but you could use it to represent something.
Yeah. So betting. There you go. Might need to move your mouse soon, Elaine.
Why?
You're right on top of betting.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
You're good.
Oh, I'm not in the right place. All right.
You're good. I'll only tell you if you need to move if you're in the way, but you're good. All right. So those four definitely seem like good starting points, right? Cards. What's another word for cards plural? When you think of multiple cards, what does that usually mean?
The deck.
Right? Yeah.
Deck.
Yeah, we can reset that to deck, which now kind of fits more. So we have a deck of cards, deck, which have, of course, cards. And I can put over here. Oop, not that button. I don't want to grab that. Where the buttons are. And when I have that say, I know it's a 52. And if I say that, for me, that tells me it's the standard 52, right?
Mhm.
With that number, it just, for me, it screams that, of course, you could put the extra thing saying standard 52 on top or something like that, Jack, Queen, King, all that stuff. So it definitely relate there. If we go to the rules, when you think of blackjack rules, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
21.
Thank you. I was waiting for that one. 21 is like the key rule of blackjack. We're going for that number. What else do we have in the rules of blackjack?
Deal 2 cards.
Yeah, 2 cards to start. Yep. All right, let's try that again. Got a quick undo button that I have on my tablet. 2 cards start. Any other rules you can think of?
Things you can do like hit, splitting, doubling.
Yeah, we could do that. And I'm going to put that in this direction because we might want to be able to do, yeah, actions like actions. Honestly, I would connect that with the players probably. So it's both the rules and the actions. We have hit, double, stand, and split. And then make sure that actually is hit, not 8. 8. So you have those. There's one more rule in blackjack that's special to it that you guys could kind of connect to the cards as well again. What's another special rule of blackjack?
Ace being
two
1 or
more.
11.
Yep, there's 2 more. There's ace. Yep. Uh, 1 and 11 to do, not 10 or 11. Yeah, that's fine. What's the other, when related to it, what's the other one?
Dealer is it?
King, it's king, queen, jack.
Thank you, yep.
Yeah.
Faces equal 10. Right? Those are kind of the rules of blackjack, you really think about it, right? Would you agree to that?
Yeah, so you could have aces and faces come up, like both come off of one bubble called like values or something that comes
Could
up.
do that too, yeah. And that could be a smart thing to look at, yeah. With something like that, you can definitely try to you could try to do that. So if you're one of the people that's actually can't edit with it, you could definitely do that yourself. So you could do that and go here, do values, card values. Up a little bit. Equal 1 or 11. Bases 10. Numbers. Goal. Right. Obviously, no number 1, not an L or a J. So far, so good. Scroll down a little bit. Players, is that really the best term for this? Because there's a couple things, there's definitely one thing I feel like we're missing here.
The dealer.
Players and the dealer, right?
So they're actors, right?
Yeah, you can do that term, yeah. Actors,
Life's a stage and all that.
is that?
I said life's a stage and all that.
Yeah, there you go. And so we have the players. And we have the dealer.
I feel you could also connect dealer to rules because they play by a certain set of rules.
Totally could. And when you have something like this situation where there's one that's going to crisscross a bit, there's two things you can do. Either one, you can do another color to crisscross. So I can do something like this. That way I can see that there's that crisscross there. Or the other option. Why did I get rid of the circle too?
The other option is put the dealer above the actors. And then
Yep. The only issue there is if I have anything else I want to do with it. So I can
Oh.
do.
I see what you
select.
yeah, if they want to branch off that.
Oop, not that button.
Yeah, because the betting is also dependent on what the dealer gets.
Yep.
If you win or not.
Exactly. Yeah, I could do, that's not what I wanted. There it goes. Move it there. Go ahead and erase that one in there. Oop, that's what I meant to hit.
What happened?
I don't know. Hold on.
You're drawing,
Time
Hard
to,
blank.
time to pay.
you just probably just
I
painted the
can
whole
still
time.
see it. I still
Black.
see. it.
Yeah, I still see the bottom corner.
Yeah, it's still there, but it's, I don't know what happened.
Undo.
I did undo it. It's not cleaning up the screen. Hold on.
I mean, I could
Yeah,
see.
we can still see it on the website.
Reload.
Oh, there you go.
Reload. Sure. I don't know. Aaron, use your career as account. Yeah. All right. We'll just do this. I'm not going to drag and drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do dealer. That. Then eraser. So you can do that. Like I said, the one issue that we could run into, of course, is the issue if we want to add more to it. But again, using a good tool for this stuff can make that okay because you can, of course, highlight all of this, for example. Drag it away. I want my S. There we go. Eraser. We do the pen. There we go. And so I can give dealer some space now. So now I can connect dealer to the rules. Because my dealer can do certain actions now.
They have to stand. Oh, yeah.
Hit below 17. Stand.
Hey, you have it on my phone. That's pretty
Equal
cool.
to 17. You got that, right? Players, what can we say about the players? Anything we need to know about it?
They have hand- They have hands.
What's that?
They have hands.
Yeah, we can say that. We can say they have that. They have hands. I don't know if that could be part of actors too. We don't have to say that just the players have hands, the actors have hands, right? The dealer has one too.
Hmm.
I'll keep it close to the players so we can make sure it's clear that, yeah, the player has a hand. What else about the players can say?
Well, they have names. I don't know.
Names.
They have a wallet.
Anything else?
They have turns.
Turns, yeah. That could be off blackjack though, right?
Yeah, blackjack, yeah, or turn slash round is it the same thing? Would be the same.
A
Kinda we could
round
do-
comes off blackjack.
Round. And then turn, because all actors have turns, not just players. So a round, which the round runs turns. Which, by the way, if some of you were wondering, you can't put arrows, but the common thing is the farther away from the center it is, the more it's that direction. So if we're going away from the center, it's considered more granular. Make sense? So just be aware of that for a mind map. Turn. And the turn, I could, if I really wanted to, I could do this. The turn is connected to the actors. And this one, since I'm going against the direction, I would put an arrow. No, you could argue that it's two directional though. No, it's one of the things where, again, it's really here, the main goal here is just to map out your mind and see how things connect. This is not an object map yet, so do be aware this is not mapping out how the code is working. I'm going to do that after. This is what a mind map is. A mind map is just getting your thoughts out, making sure you don't forget anything. All right.
Mind map, as in mind with a D at the
Mind.
end. Okay, I
M-I-N-D,
thought
yeah.
it was like a mind map, and I was like,
Well, I'm
why
gonna say
are we
this.
looking for mind-
Human controlled.
Are we looking for
Gonna
minds?
blow.
So I'm going to add that to our players. So players are human controlled. You can have your AI actors, which I could do down here if I wanted to. AI actors. Which is something you can build out later if you wanted to, but we do want to know that these players are what we call a player. We're imagining as being human controlled. Take a look at betting. What can we do about betting?
Make a line to round since you only
Yes.
do it every round, not every turn.
Yep, and I can do this as well. And this is another thing you do with mind maps again. And one thing to keep in mind with mind maps, there's no specific rules with how you do them. There's a general sense of like the structure and organization, but you can add things if it just makes sense. And so I can add this is the thing that the betting happens per round.
But sometimes it happens per turn. With doubling and splitting.
Ah, true. True, or betting action affected. 2 F's than that.
Maybe
I'd
having
say,
betting be two things, like
Splitting,
the get bet and then
and,
where you
doubling.
place the bet is different.
True. Kind of, well, I don't know. In our system, yeah, getting the bet is placing the bet, right? Get bet or must bet to play. We can do that. Yeah. We'll get bet to play round. At least
Now
reminds
that
us
I'm
that.
thinking about it more, I guess the amount of the bet is always determined just per round though, because if you double or split, the amount's already determined.
Mhm.
So these
Yep.
would probably take place in like the actions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, action affected. So
Hmm.
the betting is affected by the action, but yeah, you bet per round. the splitting and doubling is affected by the original bet. That's why I'm putting it here, not putting it off of this kind of thing. I'm not trying to connect betting to turn. Because still the round that affects how that happens. The turn just chooses whether or not they split or double, but it's the round it's the bet that they put at the round that decides how much you bet, whether it's split or double. Yeah, we can definitely go over there and double check that. So we can always go over here quick, back to our actions. And mark on double and split. Increase bet x2. So we can mark that the doubling in the standing does double our bet technically. What else can we put over here for a second? While we're thinking about it. I did a bad thing here. Hold on. I need to clean this up. I hated that I did this for no one's like, that's gonna be fine. But now I'm seeing that's gonna be really annoying to have those there. Split. Stamp.
If you stand, it ends your turn.
Ends turn. Yep,
And when you double, it also ends your turn.
true. That's correct. We're gonna do the red line so you can see that concept.
And,
So you don't go like increase bet and then ends turn?
Could do that, I guess. Yeah, you can do that. Oop,
Well, it does both.
yeah,
And split doesn't end your turn. So
oh, right, split.
I
does
think
not
the
end
red
turn.
line
Yeah, the red line does work a little better.
is pretty
'Cause,
good.
yeah. Split does increase the bet, but increasing your bet doesn't end your turn. So it's the double that ends the turn, not the split.
so I
Hitting
know
does what?
hitting, you get another card.
Yeah, draw a card. We'll just do that. Get that out of the way. And split.
You get another hand.
Yeah, I'm just changing this a little bit because I'm going to realize we don't need the red because I can just do this. And one of the benefits of whiteboarding and stuff like that. I'm going to switch these two. Do that. Split still does that, and split also get extra hand.
It's weird because you can also say draw a card only because of the fact you do get a couple cards, but that doesn't really result to a hit though.
Yeah, not really.
Hmm.
But it's fine. Getting an extra hand, and we did clarify that hands start with a 2-card start. So we could clarify that down here on hands if we wanted to. That hands have 2 cards to start, all that kind of stuff we wanted to. I just remember there is one more rule I just thought about, by the way.
About busting somehow. If you go over 21, you bust.
Not that, one up, one down. One face up, one face down. So 21, that's true. Go over and bust. This is how we're getting a little more granular. We know that 21 is a rule of blackjack, but now we're going to get a little more granular and say, well, if you go over it, you bust. Anything else we need to put in here about the game blackjack? Yeah, that's zooming out a lot, actually.
Well, the last thing I would say, which is determining winner and then issue bets. Or issue bets to winners or lose money to winners.
Winning. I think that's a topic on its own, that's separate from rules and everything. Winning. Players versus dealer. It is not everyone against themselves, it's player versus dealer. Player under 21 or equal to 21. And player greater than dealer.
And then Yeah.
You win. I just do P instead of player and dealer, but it's fine. That's gonna get a little large. Actually, no, let's do. I'm gonna do a little different. Actually, let's do this. Actually, hold on. Undo. Let's remember this. So yeah, player less than or equal to 21. Ooh, Jesus. Okay. Player less than or equal to 21. Player greater than dealer. You win.
Thing is, I can't find one rule on anything online that says the player ever gets a face down card. Not even the home rules.
Oh yeah, if you and me were to play against each other, you would keep your card face down.
It doesn't say that.
That's how I
I
always
guess,
play.
I guess if there's no dealer, maybe that's true. Yeah.
100%. Again, that's why again, I've seen it in some situations. Yeah, some casinos they don't. You're right. Some casinos all player cards if they'll face up, but I'm fairly confident I've seen at least some casinos will do them face down. One face down, one face up. But yeah, as soon as it's your turn, they're face up. Because again, your actions do not affect the dealer. So
Yeah.
again, that's just if the casino wants to mitigate card counters.
No, I get what you're saying. I've just never seen it. I can't find it online. And I know guys who professionally gamble and they never seen it.
Maybe that's completely been changed. I just thought that was still a thing. Maybe not.
If we're playing at home, playing two players, why would you want everybody's cards face up? I would know, how to play.
Well, that's
Yeah,
it.
from
If you're
that
playing with everyone
perspective.
face up, then yeah, you want to go last.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll just do a shorthand here. Player less than dealer not busted. Winner. And I can of course add a little caveat here. So, or at least I can do this instead. Hold on.
And then you could connect these bubbles to the bedding underneath it, to the left of it.
Kind of. Yeah. I'm gonna do bust. You win. The less than 21. D win. Player greater than 21. Bust. Simple as that. Then yeah, we can just put this stuff down to just connect that to the betting. And you can of course put up branch outs to give them the rates of pay if you want. Which we could also, which I personally put under betting though. So under betting, I would do one more line here, probably. Payouts. Standard. 2x. To get your bet back and your extra. Blackjack. 2.5. And 5 card. Charlie. Yeah, it's worth it. 5x, I think we heard. That sound right?
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else that our game needs? At this point, I will open the game. I will open the board to anyone who is a team member can also just add stuff themselves. If there's something you think we missed or didn't put in there. Trust me, I'll be
I
monitoring.
think it could use a couple stick figures.
I was waiting for that. I'm monitoring those arrows.
But the thing I'm really questioning about, we've already built it, so we built this map out. Can't this map be, well, I mean, the map wouldn't be so, well, I mean, I guess if we thought this out well, we could make it out this way without even coding one thing.
What do you mean?
I'm just thinking, like, would this be a little bit smaller or somewhat smaller if we were just to start it basically jumping in the pool without knowing what we're doing?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we got all this stuff because we coded a lot of it. And just to say, if we actually really thought about this whole thing without even touching code, we would probably come up with this eventually.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't think anything here was code specific except for certain keywords.
Yeah.
We changed players to actors.
Mhm.
What was it? We changed our cards to deck. But other than that, most of the other things here were pretty just standard of the in part of the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just, yeah.
It's just a lot going on. You're like, would I come up with this prior to coding it?
Yeah.
Right. I think it can be done. Again, this is you just breaking down everything you know about the game after playing it. And so this is something you can actually, like, you could actually start building this while you play the games today. So in between your turn, you could be having this on another tab where you're coding out your things, where you're like thinking of certain things. And this can be just start with just the buzzwords. And really, again, the goal of this is just to have everything down and to see the connections of how these things work. And then the other than like connecting via lines, the other way of connecting is to use other keywords. Players versus dealer, I could use the term actor, but since the player here is player here, then I can see that that's connected, even though I don't want to create this giant red line to it, you know? So I can connect player versus dealer without having to actually connect it, because I'm using the similar words. And so my biggest thing I want to make sure is very clear here is minimizing the amount of text. Short, pithy, if you could do single words, it's best, but really you're just doing bullet points is what really should be here. These should all be bullet points, small little bite-sized system that you can expand on later. The goal of a mind map is just to get your thoughts on paper. What is blackjack made up of? Just that way later on, you can come back and be like, did I forget anything in either my plan of attack, my object map, and my code? Did I forget anything? Did I not include something? And what's going to be useful for these, if you guys can create something either similar to this or else, is I can point out what parts of this aren't really needed for your final version of the app. Like, oh, that right there, you can hold off on. That's actually like not a thing that is needed for your program to technically work, right? So that's kind of one of the benefits of this as well, is seeing, do you understand the game fully? And so if other people have mind maps, and you guys can do this as a team as well on Thursdays, do a mind map, showcase mind maps. This is just yet another tool. I don't really benefit from mind maps too much, like doing, especially not following the format as much. I benefit more from, the way I've done it with the breakdown of the steps and flows. John's dragon stuff.
Does the dealer get a turn?
Yes, which is why I connected the turn to actors, which is the dealer and
Okay,
player.
all right, so
Yeah,
it just goes through
yeah.
actors, player. Yeah.
So you can get rid of basically split, double, even technically the betting, you can get rid of all that and start with that and then add those in later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good way for people that like their mind jumps around to different things.
Yes.
So they can fill it in as they're going and then like think, oh, let me add this to that too.
Yeah.
Like just add that branch
Oh,
it off
100%.
at a later time.
What is it? If you're someone that your brain has trouble focusing on one branch at a time and you just think of things spontaneously, this can be really helpful for that, because you can just jump around left and right, up and down, go to the branch that your brain is thinking about that moment. If you're not able, like some people are very analytical, they can go off to the rules section and fill out rules all on its own and not touch anything else until rules is finished, until they feel this is fine. They're like, all right, what's next? Oh, there's people who play the game. So let me go ahead and do the actors next, and they'll do everything here first. And they're like, all right, what's next in blackjack? Oh, we have a deck and they have cards of 52 and stuff like that. And then they'll go over and be like, all right, well then actions, we do all the actions, hit, split, double stand. What does that mean? Well, hit draws a card, split gets the extra hand, double increases the bet. So to split, stand ends your turn. And then they'll move on, which this still can work for those people too. But this can be really helpful for people who just need to jump around and go layer by layer and dig deeper as they go. And then at the end, after their jump around goes in, they can go bubble by bubble to be like, is there anything else that I want to do on top of winning? Even though I've already filled this out, is there more here that I can add to it? On the payouts, is there more to payouts I need to add on? Is there anything more that I want to add to actors? Anything additional on the players that I want to add into them? So this is what can be really beneficial to that. If you're someone that jumps around a lot, this can help you to make sure that if you have a pop in your head of something you weren't really focusing on, like if you were focusing on rules, but then remembered something about the players, you could add that and then go back to rules. And so this can be helpful for anyone who might consider themselves a little scatterbrained. This can help to kind of map out that scatteredness to themselves, because yeah, things feel a little scattered. Even this feels fairly scattered, but that's kind of how our brains work. It's a lot of stuff all tied together in a single bubble. All of this is inside a blackjack if you think about it. We just cram it all in, and now we're just trying to pull it apart. And if you've ever taken like a ball of a pair of headphones that have been sitting in a pocket, they are all crammed together. But as soon as you pull it apart, it's now a bigger mess that you still have to untangle, right?
I hate that.
So it's kind of what you're having here. And this is kind of what's going on. We're pulling blackjack apart. We're untangling it as we go. So this is kind of what you're looking at for a mind map. Can I do other pages, or do I have to do a whole nother board? I think I have to do a whole nother board, don't I?
I think you can scroll way out and just move somewhere else.
I was going to do a object map, but I
Oh,
can't do
you
that.
probably need another.
I can zoom over here. Can you guys see that on the map though, I wonder?
Yeah, you have to zoom out.
Oh, there it goes. All right, there should be a little circle that you guys can go head over to. If you look at the map in the lower right, so we can go over here now to this spot. All right. Cool. So the thing increases in size as we need it. That's kind of cool. All right. So here we're going to build our object map and how these items exist. And how we're going to do that is by creating each of the objects with some space in between. So the first one, of course, we started with was the card object. So we started with the card object. Why does that feel thinner? That's fine. Let's do this. Nope. That's all I want. Ah, there it goes. A little thicker. The card class. Yeah, a little thicker. Not by much, but it's a little bit. And so we had the card class. We thought that, and what makes up a card? And again, this can be before we write the code. We can have it decide what makes up a card. We know we can even do diagrams. What's really cool about this thing, we can even do a diagram of a card. And so we do a card, we know we have the rank, like ace up here. Here we have this, so we can point at it and be like, that's the rank. We have, I'm gonna do a diamond because that's easy to draw. Well, maybe I should have done a heart actually. Now that I think about it. There we go. That's a little easier than a diamond. That's the suit. And we can also, at this point, decide, again, like we did in our previous code, this doesn't yell at us face up or face down yet. So we may not realize that when we first do it, but we know now we could do face up. So we do face up. So we have those, we know we can flip the card. We know we can, anything else we can do with the card? And nothing that screams to us of methods, and that's something that you can also be aware of, is that they aren't going to be so obvious what it's going to need. But in this case, I don't want to do this as a planning phase. You know, I don't want to do this as if we're planning out the object per se. What I want to do is show the relationships on this one. But again, you can do this. This is what I want to show. So we have a card class. We know that the card class is an abstract class. And underneath it, we right now have a playing card class. The playing card class, the thing that makes this unique to the card is that it's the 52 cards, 1 through 13 rank, 4 suits. And that's just my notes to let me know why this card is specialized. Our next class we had, of course, is the deck class. And deck has cards. And I want to do has collection. Has a collection of. We see it as it's the has a version, so we get has a on top, and the thing on the bottom says collection of tells us it's multiple, and it should be like a list or an array or something. Those are very, very important on that. If it was just a singular, I could just do has a, right? I could just do has a card. A deck has a card. In this case, we know it has multiple, so we're going to say has a collection of. Right? So we have those. We also know this is an interface. And the interface, I am actually going to use this little trick here. So I'm going to, can I get a dotted line? No, I'm going to use stuff. I'll do it myself. For an interface, I'm actually going to do the dotted line because I'm going to say the deck to be implemented by standard. In a deck. And it. Rigged. Deck. Console-based debugging. So I can, again, these are just me putting little notes in there to be aware of what this is. If I need the note. If I don't need it, then I'm fine. Playing card, maybe I don't need those notes, but I definitely want them there. Same here. And these are implementations, so I can do arrows this way for those because these are implementing the deck interface. So you can see how the pass, like how data is getting sent. So card passes attributes and fields into playing card. Deck passes requirements into standard deck and rigged deck. They don't, and that's why I'm doing the dotted line because this playing card actually gets the fields and methods from card, right? Card had suit, rank, is face down, all that stuff, and so playing card actually got those attributes. It collected those. I didn't have to implement those items, right? Because inheritance occurred. For the interface, I personally like to do the dotted line because I'm not actually getting anything from deck except requirements. Deck is telling me that standard deck must include a shuffle, it has to include a draw method, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where deck comes into play. Deck does pass something into the implementations, but it passes requirements, doesn't actually give it anything that it auto has, right? That a good kind of way of seeing the difference between the two? Cool. The next class we created, and since I know that these, I personally feel like these don't have that much of a connection to each other, I'm gonna move over here. The next one we did was a hand. Kind of, actually, there's a slight connection to them. So I'm gonna go here, actually. Let's do a hand. The hand was just a standard class, right? The other thing we have here is that, again, we have a collection of cards. When we first started, that was all hand really had that was special to itself, of a class connection, right? It had its own fields, its own attributes, its own parameters, all that kind of stuff. But the only class connection it had when we first started was the connection to card, right? After that, we then brought in actors. Actors was, again, an interface. And the two actors we created was a player and a dealer. Console-based. User interaction. Logic, rule-based, or yeah, logic-based. We even clarify decision tree. Excuse me. Thank you. Lane, can you move your mouse again? You're right on top of this decision tree. There we go. So logic-based, specifically they're called the decision tree. It asks questions and then makes a decision based on those questions. Several of the actors you guys probably were making were going to be some sort of decision tree based. There's no actual machine learning involved or any sort of adjustments going as it plays games. It's just going to ask the same questions every time, and it's going to make a decision based on the results of those questions. And some questions might be asked after a first question. So it'll say, if this, then this, if that, then this, and if this, then if this, and this is true, then do this. Those are decision trees. And you can do decision trees like an actual like layout as well. You can write out in a nice little like graph how the decision tree goes. So you can also graph out decision trees too. Actor, dealer, player. And I probably should have done those dotted lines now that I think about it. Dang it. Really? Why'd you do the blue? I don't think it is. Is it blue?
Something, so a little meme that said,
Okay, continue.
machine learning is just a fancy word of saying brute force.
And well, machine learning, I guess you could argue that because it is about them learning over time as they keep trying it very aggressively. It depends on if you give it a training set or not. If you don't train it, then it has to learn itself. Then yes, brute forcing it over and over again until it gets what it wants, and then finally learning. When you think about it, that's kind of how we walk, right? We learn to walk by brute forcing ourselves to stand, falling over a couple of times until we finally stopped falling.
I didn't really think of it when I was looking at it. I was like, I never really thought of it that way. I guess it's true.
Keith's like, yep, that's totally true. Yep, we
Yeah,
definitely
it's like
fell.
riding a bicycle. Yeah.
Oh yeah, riding a bicycle, another one. That is just, yeah, you keep riding the bike until you stop falling. That's if you don't call that brute force into the ground multiple times, I don't know what is.
Sure.
Yep, I did it when what was it? Arnell had gotten the ripsticks, and some of you guys don't even know that whole saga that we used to have back in Waterfire. So back in Waterfire, we had they got their new building here in Providence. And they had that whole downstairs area that most of the days were pretty empty. You know, and have these like we have what were called ripsticks, and we just skate around. Arnell was the first one to get them because the kids wanted them, and I eventually learned how to do it, and it involved a couple falling. Fell a couple times, but yeah, then me and Arnell both, we started to get better at it. Definitely brute force. Over time, we got better at it. Yeah, we'll do the dotted lines because these are interfaces. Again, they don't actually earn anything from the parent class other than requirements, their blueprint of what they have to include. On the other hand, though, the actor interface does clarify that the actor does have a hand. And this we're going to just do a has a. Wrong way. The hand, sorry, has an actor. So has a actor. So I'm not going to put that collection thing because this is a singular ownership. Hand has a single actor.
Except for a split, that means it would have multiple hands.
The hand still only has one.
Yeah, that's true.
That new hand still only has one actor associated with it. Remember,
Yeah.
we did a hand to actor association in this one. That's how we connected them this way. Got that. Actually, I might want to move those to the left, actually, now that I'm thinking about the map that I'm going to need to build. All right. Put them on the left. It's fine. We'll make it work. Yeah, actually, I'm moving it. I just remember that there is something that the deck has that hand also has that actors do not. So I need this right hand side for that item. So let's grab all this. Where's the map? Move that over here. Good. And the next thing we need to create here, now that we have the hand, the actors, and that we need the table, right? Now we need the actual game. We gotta create the game next, the table in this case. Here, I'm gonna do a table. And it has all of these, a bunch of things, but it does have a single deck. It has a deck. And then it has a collection of hands. We're also going to say it has a single dealer hand. And so I can be descriptive like this, or I can also just do it this way. Whatever you guys feel is better. There's two ways we could word it. I am pointing the hand so I know it's a hand, and then that way I can clarify though that it has a hand that is connected to a dealer actor. So I can see that pathway. Again, you can be as descriptive as you want with these. These are meant for you. Now let's make sure that there's that map that we have the hand collection, which is hands that have actors. And we're not going to clarify that it's players, by the way, because again, we did clarify that this players collection could include your guys' actors, the ones that are completely automated. So they don't necessarily need to be players. They could be any sort of player, any sort of actor that that's a collection of. So these we could even put a person, one of our actors in the players table can follow the dealer rules. So you could have a player at the table that follows the dealer's rules as well, that they hit on anything below 17, but as soon as they hit 17 and up, they stand. Which there are days that I feel like I do that. That I act like a dealer sometimes. It's like I hate hitting on 17. Their table, and that has the hand in there and the deck. Any other classes we have?
Off the table class?
Yeah.
Um,
Any of them, actually. Did I miss any classes? Let's count how many classes I'm showing right now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I have 10 classes. How many classes did we have in our project, by the way, other than the console? If you're in Zoom right now, I'm pulling up IntelliJ.
I'm just watching it from Zoom, actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be.
Anyone who's watching on Miro now.
Hmm.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
think that's
7,
all of them.
8, 9, 10. Hey, look at that. 10 classes. Other than that console class, it really isn't part of blackjack. We're just utilizing it for the console, right? It's not part of the card game package.
Mhm.
Everything here is there. So this is how all those items are connected, by the way. This is how all those classes interact with each other when you're playing with that. If we want to get access, if we're in the table and the table wants to know the actor's name, it has to go through the hand to get to the actor to get the name. Which is the actor's an interface, then has to go to either player or dealer to then get the name, since actor is an interface. So that's just to be a pass through. And so we see why hand now has that pass through. We see that we have to get through hand to get the name. This can help us to realize we need that pass through because there's no direct connection between table and actor, right? Unless we decided to create a collection of actors like we had originally, we did have that originally. The only way for the table to access an actor's information is to go through a hand. Same thing with a card. In order for the table to access anything from a card, it either has to go through the deck to get a card through the draw method, or it could go from the table to the hand to get a card in order to do a split method or something like that. And that's the only way you could access a card. It doesn't guarantee that it'll actually get the card, but it'll get a card. It could then run a card method or something. But again, only if the hand it has a method available to access that. Same with the deck. The table can only access a card to the deck if the deck has a method that gives that card to the deck. Sorry, to the table. So this is kind of the structure of our application. So here's a curious thing. Any questions with the game that we can use, that we can help clarify with the map of how something worked? And it doesn't, even if you think you understand it, if you just want to ask it just so we can walk through it here on our map. Again, I will say, this is a higher level. You can, of course, make this more detailed by, again, branching out from the actors and putting the fields and methods in there. But what I would only put here, though, are the public items here. So only public items should go on this. That way, if you wanted to, you could draw an arrow from one to that public method. That makes sense? So one example here would be, yeah, the get name of the actors. We can say get, pen helps. I can have the get name method here. Over here under player, under the interface, we would also have get name. And so in order for the table to get a name, I would be able to go here, which this of course points to here. So I can see that path that for the table to get a name, it has to ask the hand get name, which asks the actors get
Is that
name.
a pass through?
That's the pass through. Yep. 100%. And that's how you can maybe see the pass through. Same method name, but you guys get arrow to arrow. So all that happens is you get like what looks kind of like a baton. Here we can do get value. Get rank. So table can ask for the get value, which hand asks for get rank. So table doesn't know it does that, but get value does get rank. Right? So that's not a pass-through because the two method names are different. There's no guarantee that get rank will go back to table, right? No guarantee on that. All we know here is that in order for table to get the value, hand does need to get the rank of the card in its system, right? And they can evaluate what the value of that card is. Drawing. So yeah, we know that hand has add card. Add card itself doesn't call anything. What happens though, in this case, we have table, we have draw. Card goes to the deck draw. Grabs it, and then we'll send it to add card. It's hard here to sometimes write the pathway. You could do something like this where it goes there and then back up. through it and back over to add card. Like, so you could do something like that if you wanted to, if that makes sense for your mind. So again, a lot of this stuff is just what helps you to follow it, right? How do you see the pathway? What helps you to make sense of these items? Whatever drawing, whatever template, whatever mapping, whatever architecture or design or implement or tool can help you to follow the code, to follow the process, to follow the logic and help. It could even help to recreate this mapping by following along the code, starting from main, you know? So you could even do that if you wanted to. One more little break over. I'm gonna go over to the right over here. So let's here for a second. There we go. So starting from main, you see another plot on the map now.
Just put made.
Starting from main, what is main called?
It instantiates the table and then plays the game method.
So we have to play game. Yep. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. Over there. There we go. I zoomed in a lot actually. I gotta figure out how to adjust the zoom levels on this thing. Jesus Christ, it zooms out a lot. All right. There you go. So play game is run, and play game goes where?
Well, you have to instantiate the table, so it's part of table, so it goes to table.
We'll do that first then. New table. And then we'll just say, hey, well, now table exists over here. We have an instantiation of table over here. Play game passes us to tables play game. So someone who wants to have IntelliJ open for me. What's the first method called in play game?
First method?
Yeah.
Play around.
You mean play around?
Yeah, play around.
All right. That's it. There's a different one in there. Was it really that? I lose my mind.
Yeah.
Where is it? Table.
Table.
Yep.
Around. We create the deck, we shuffle, and then we get the bets. Oh no, play round. You're right. Yeah, play game, play round. Right. Okay. I'm losing my mind. Yep, play round next. Right. Play game goes to play round. Also under table. What does play round do next?
Shuffle. Oh, no, it gets to the deck.
Yep, it creates a deck. So now I'm going to create a deck over here. Cool. So I'm going to do an outline over here for a second. So new deck. Then what?
Shuffle.
It shuffles. Now shuffle is a deck method. So that's going to go over to the deck. What does shuffle do?
It randomizes the cards. Order.
All right. And to call any other, does it do anything else?
I don't
Method.
remember.
Not good. It just shuffles the item. Cool. Yeah, and then calls back. Comes right back here to where it was called. After shuffle happens, what happens?
And deals.
It deals or gets bet?
Oh,
Get
get
bet.
that. That's right.
Gets
Get
bet.
There
that.
you go. Get bet. What does gets bet do?
It asks people to say how much they're gonna bet.
Table was created. It created the players. Dang it. Forgot about that. That was part of the constructor. So new table. I probably should have clarified that. Yeah, that created the new table. Players. Players, we called it. So yeah, and that's the get bet, right? Or what is it called? Not get bet, it's what?
Get bets.
This is get bets, which I have here, but gets bets, get bets, sorry, not gets bet. Get bets, wrong position for the S. What is get bets called? On each player, What's the method
Wait.
name for the actor?
Place a bet, place bet.
Place bet. That was it, right? Yeah. Place bet. Does that call any other methods inside of it, or is that good? Comes back, right? Does get bet run any other methods?
No, it just returns the bet, right?
Well, it sets the bet. I didn't even actually return it either. It
Doesn't
just
return
sets
it. No, it just
Yeah.
sets it, right?
Oh, it just sets it.
In
Place,
hand,
okay.
right?
But it passes that control back to where it was called, which then goes back to where get bets was called. So after get bets in play around, what happens next?
Now we deal.
Now we deal. Yep. So now we deal. Goes down. What does deal do? Does deal run any methods?
Yeah, it draws cards to
It
players.
does. Draw. So I'm coming back, which then of course does add card. For hand. That's done. That goes back. After dealing, what happens?
Looks like we display the table.
Display the table, yeah.
All right. So we display table. That sounds good. I'm being as descriptive as I want to be. Like some areas I'm being descriptive, I might be missing something, so feel free to let me know if I did. Display table, of course, is going to go to each hand and do the hands display hand, right? The hand gets displayed, it comes back. After it does all those, it goes back to display table. After display table, what next?
It does.
Player
goes-
turns.
Yeah. Mhm.
Player turns, yep. Over. All right, how does player turns go? What does that do?
Goes through the players. It
Yeah.
gets count, reveals hand.
Well, it just gets the player out of the list, but then the play reveal hand is the one we care about. So yeah.
Yeah, reveal hand, and then it does action because you're going to be asking for, it goes to turn and asks, what do you want to do?
And do that. After reveal the hand, we get action. Which again is another player item, get action. Which I will say, some of these items, like this one I hear, yeah, let's actually do this one. So get action, as we know, is a pass through, right? So one thing we didn't clarify, of course, is that we do have. I'm running out of space. Hold on. Let's move this all over. Grab everything. We. Since we're over here, though, I am going to bring the class name down since we finally now getting into it. So now here we're going to have actor. So yeah, hand created the actor, of course. We can point that out if we need to. So we always do players, actor right there if we want. That's fine. We'll bring the actor down lower a little bit so it's easier to access. So get action passes to the get action and actor. And that's again, depending on the interface. So the actual implementation. So you can definitely draw that out if you wanted to, but I want to keep that kind of abstract because that's the idea of actor is that our systems need to know how the get action worked. And we just know that we call it from actor. And then the implementation of actor will then do what it needs to do to make it work. Save it back in, we drop. We get the action goes back to get action. In the get action, we then have the 5 methods of either quit, hit, stand, double, or split. So we're gonna have is that we're gonna do one of those. So I do it like this one's a little harder to do. I
Get
haven't
action,
really figured out.
well, get action goes to turn and then turn just, because,
Get actions in turn, right?
yeah.
Well, I guess I probably should have done that first, actually. Let me just clean this up a little bit then. Yeah, you're right. Reveal hand. Turn. Get action. Yeah, let's make that there. So let's do that actually. Then after we get the action, we have to run one of these 5 methods. And so this is where it's trickier to figure out how do I want to map this out. You could do it like hit, stand, double, split, and quit. And these could be defined somewhere else if you want to, because it's really hard to map it here, but just being aware that these happen. I feel like these are also fairly self-explanatory, but if you did need to map those out, you could do those, of course.
I was gonna say, you can map out what hit does, what stand does, and
Yep, if any of these are unclear, you can always map those out following the same kind of pattern. And just write it somewhere else. You can even put it down below. Another way you could do this would be instead of doing it like that, you could do a little indentation of hit, stand, quit, double, split, and do it where it's like this. And this could kind of hint that it's a branching system instead of a single one to the next that's going to do one of these, right?
Yeah,
Single arrow with multiple outputs.
almost looks like a switch.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a switch. Good call. Yeah. And then I could still do that same concept where I indent over. This one could indent over a little farther, just to give me space if I need it. Things like that. But yeah, we could hit. We can do the same draw method that we've done before. Which again, this one I'm going to change the color for a second so I can keep track of where this arrow goes. So we'll go blue for this. Why do you do that with the text? Damn you. The undo is weird sometimes. Sometimes it undoes a couple pieces of text as well. Draw or add card, sorry. Which we can just borrow the original draw card we had from before, just use it again, and come back. It's going to do the exact same kind of thing that the original draw card did, or add card did. So cool. Got that. Actually, I could have just went to draw actually, but it's fine. Anyway, so I got that one. Let's go back to black. Stand. Does nothing actually, so we're not going to do anything. It's just going to do the arrow back. So stand doesn't call any other methods, so it just goes back. Quit, exit, and so there's going to be no back arrow because we're done now. It kills the program. So let me make that actually look a little more like the word exit, please. There we go. And so no back arrows on this one because this ends the program. So if we hit this, we're not going to go back. Double, we can do double bet. and stand. We did that. Split. Double bet. Let's actually go back now that I think about it. And then what else was the method we called after double bet? Oh no, we didn't call double bet, did we? We called just split hand, didn't we? Did we call double bet?
We took the double bet and split it in half and then applied it to the split.
We did double bet. Okay, and then we do split hand after. Okay, cool. So double bet, split hand, which again was a method over here. So keep it somewhat organized. That blue again, so we can cross the lines. Yep. And then after all that, we're going to continue on to the next things. After we get the actions, is there anything after action we do, or after the get actions done in the turn?
No, that'd be the end, should be the end of this, of that turn.
That it is. Good. And so what happens at the end of this, we're just going to loop back now to turn. At the end of the turn, is anything happens at the end of the turn? Or get turn, sorry. So player turn, sorry. Player turns. After the turn loop is done, anything else we do?
We display the hand.
We do that, yep. Which is there. So blue again. I'm going to redo this arrow over here. A little more neat. After we display the hand, the player turns are done, right? And we loop this a couple times. So you could also put in there that there's some sort of loop if you wanted to. You could identify this as a loop somehow. You can even just put a top loop if you want. But once it's done with this, we then go back to work. After all the turns are done, what happens?
We determine winner.
Nope.
Oh, dealer goes.
Dealer turn, which I'm just going to reuse the same stuff here. You see, it's the same stuff, just with the dealer. And then, yes, determine, which I'm actually going to do this a little lower because I want to bypass all that code over here on the side. So I'm going to go down below that. Determine winner. What does determine winner do? What methods does it call? I'll say it does get values. It does those.
Gets values.
Yeah. And then payout as well, right?
Yeah, payout.
Yep. I'm going to kind of keep this a little smaller because we're getting near the end. I think you guys get the point. So if you want to put a little more detail in there, it goes back. After determine winner, is there anything else in a round?
Yeah, and then you do a cleanup of the table.
Right. Or what's the method? So technically this is all end round, by the way. So
yeah.
Let's say something felt a little off on this.
Yeah, end round, determine winner, discard hands. And then you discard the dealer hand, and then you're
Move that over first. End round. Determine winner gets finishes. Let me do any other methods.
Yeah, we just clean
Just
up.
remove or discard hand. Yeah, we do
Yeah,
discard
discard
hand.
hand, clean up. Yeah. Discard hand, discard dealer, and discard any splits. But yeah, basically you just discard mostly all the hands.
And then the last but not least, we call we do the remove hands, but that's not a method. So yep, that's still end round. So that's all good. After end round, we are done with the turn. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can do this. That comes down all the way back to play around. At the end of the round, it just repeats after we keep playing rounds until we exit and finish the game at some point. Which right now we don't actually have a way of quitting. The way we quit the game is through quit. So technically play round doesn't return, but the end, in some way there would be a way to return back to the play game, which would then end the system. If play round ever actually ended its run, exited its loop, we would then pop back over to play game. And so that's kind of the flow of blackjack. So now you can see how the flow of the program goes, right? There's
the
one
only,
more here that I haven't clarified all the method calls, like there's some get names and stuff like that, and display methods. I haven't done all of them, but this can help to kind of see how the program goes through the methods. You can see how everything goes. Again, this kind of thing is more meant at the end to understand what you built and to see if there's any sort of over usage or if there's any one method, any one class maybe a little big. We couldn't argue that, you know what, tables seem to get really, really long and all this stuff. It's always under table. And we didn't go to other classes. Maybe table could be broken up. We could argue that, right? What's good is that we did make a lot of method calls. So we did break it down to a lot of small methods. It wasn't just one single method doing everything that had a bunch of arrows branching off of it, right? And no one method had a bunch of arrows branching off, right? We kept doing this indentation stuff and kept calling other methods. So that was one of the benefits of this. And that's what's really good to see as well. It can help you to see if there's any like over bloated items. Again, this is just kind of the goal here is to kind of see that flow, walk through the game one time to make sure that all the thing makes sense and how things are passing around, how the control of the game is going. And what can help is if now that you have this, look through this to see how does this parallel with the game flow. So you guys wrote up how the game goes from start to end, right? When you guys played it. And it can be interesting to compare this against that to see how does this sound, does this seem kind of similar in a way? Does it feel like we're following that game flow that we wrote up, right? Kind of sounds like it. Play game, all right, play game, play around. New deck, shuffle, get bets, place the bets, yep. We then deal, we draw out cards, yep. We display the table, display hand, all right. The player's turn, we reveal their hand, we get their turn, their actions, hit stand, hit quit, double split. We then display the hand when they're done. The dealer goes, then we end the round, determine winners, pay them out and remove the extra hands. So it seems like I just explained the steps to play blackjack, right? It doesn't really sound like I explained like code really. A little bit, it was definitely some more technical terminology there, more computer-based terminology in there, but it's unnecessary statements. But in a computer, you have to be very, very explicit. So these are just a bunch of little tools you can use to really just help you identify the game, map out what you're currently creating to make sure the map makes sense. Can you map it out? Do you understand your code enough to map it out? And does it look insane or does it at least make somewhat sense, right? Is there a flow to is there a followable flow to the logic of how the game works? And the one thing I want to make sure is clear enough is just this idea of the two-sided arrows. Any method call you make always comes back to the call. When that method finishes, it comes back. You don't have to actually you don't have to find a way to send yourself back. There are some older languages that used to do that, where you have to say, go to line this, and then when you were done with that section, you have to go back to the line you said or go to another line, where there weren't definable.
Yep.
Basic was one of those.
I
dealt with it on my Atari. The Atari system dealt with that.
Yeah, I
I
love
did
that.
go to lines. So
Java had something like, just go to this line, please.
yeah, go to line X. I don't want that, I actually know, because that is hard. That is a pain in the ass to maintain. Those were things that used to happen. Nowadays, yeah, you call a method. When that method finishes, it goes back to that exact line where the call occurred. You don't have to send yourself there. It's automatically going to send you there after making any changes it needs to make and updating state of stuff. So I do want to make sure it's very clear that you have these two directional arrows. Now, do you have to do them like this, or could you just do that, where you just do one arrow and then back? If that makes sense to you, that's fine. if you just want the one directional arrow and you know intuitively that it's going to come back, that's fine too. You don't have to be explicit with this back arrow. I did that this time because I want to make sure it's clear that any method call you do, except for something like exit, which kills the program, that method when it finishes goes back. So if there's any leftover code in that method that called it, that code will get run automatically. All right, as soon as that item ends. That's why I wanted to say that even though currently our system has no way of ending play round except through quit, if a play round was to finish and was to exit its loop and get to the end of the method, it would go back to play game back in main. No matter what, unless you kill the program, all methods return back to the call.
But yeah, because you could
Flow.
loop this until only one person has money left, and that would be declared the winner, and because everybody else is out of the game.
Well, that would be the end result. Yeah, either everyone left. Either the two scenarios would be person runs out of money, so they're kicked out of the out of the hand group. So there's that. We would knock them out of that. The second version is someone quits, so they leave the table, so they're removed from the hand list. And as soon as when playground starts, if there's no one in the hand list, there's no players, end the game and just break out of the loop. So playground would actually be while there are we could do a do while, and while there are players in the hands list, keep playing. So that is one thing we could do in that. And again, that's something I'm leaving for you guys to deal with as something you could add to the program. Interesting stuff, right? More tools. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to really ask is it's going to be useful or not, because until you actually use it yourself, it's just kind of it's interesting. I guess you can ask that. Was these things interesting? These three different ways of outlining a program. Was it at least interesting to you guys?
I think that helps.
That's what I'm hoping. Well, at some point, you'll be able to use this in some way that it can benefit you. And who made something way down here in the corner? I messed up with my map. I knew it.
He was here.
Like, I have a theory of who it might be. Go away.
I usually like when I wasn't here 2021.
Like, what? Who else did one?
I was Freddie.
That looks like Freddie again, yeah. There we go. Now my map looks normal again. I like how, look how tiny our mind map now got.
Mm.
Because of scale and stuff. Oh, fun. I didn't zoom in enough on the other two things, so that just messed with it a bit. But I'm still learning this program.
I think you could probably enlarge that if you wanted to.
Probably could.
Hmm.
Not gonna worry about it right now, though.
Yeah.
Dang it. See that pop in. It's like my map changed again. Yeah, no, the main goal
There's a
again for
button
this
that
is
can
just-
force you to move yourself to me. That's what I
Really?
did. Yeah. If you click on yourself,
myself, huh?
bring to me, and then
Oh.
you just click whoever you want.
I can drag people. That is awesome. Bring every, oh, I can't do that. I have to upgrade to bring everyone to me. I have to click everyone one by one to do that right now. Yank. Yank. I can just yank people. Yeah, that's kind of fun. Keep people in check. Yeah, main goal again, just more tools, more resources, more items, whichever, so that way you can find the item that speaks to you the most. With that being said, I think I punished you guys long enough. For 7:30, let's play some games.
Will we all play all games, or will we break out and then each do separate games?
I think we try playing all games. That way people can decide if they want to switch over.
All right.
For those who can, of course. I think we have enough time to be able to play all games. I think we can do that. I'm still sharing screen, right? Yep, good. I can stop the recording though, at least.